Hi, Islanders! I quit my job and left Seoul, and I got a panic attack in paradise. In this channel, I'll be sharing my stories from the city of Seoul and the deep forest in Korea, memories from the deep blue sea, and the lessons I have learned along the way. This is the story of a broken high hill and a soul soaked in salt water. My name is Hana from South Korea. Where I live, the last name comes first, then the first name. Americans often pronounce my name like Hana, and Europeans might say Hana, but it's actually a pure Korean name. You know how you count 1, 2, 3 in Korean? It's Hana, 2, 셋. So my name Hana means one and only in Korean. I'm a writer and a dive instructor. I have a bit of a unique background. I started out as a magazine editor in Seoul for about 10 years. Then I completely switched gears and spent the next decade overseas working as a dive instructor. That put me in a rare and challenging position. I was an Asian woman teaching diving in English primarily to Westerners. I was based in two words, a small remote Thai island called Paradise on Earth, and the jungle cenotes, the underwater caves of the Ribera Maya in Mexico. All of those experiences led me to write a book about my journey, which is called The Courage to Escape from Seoul. People often ask me why I left the dazzling city of Seoul and the dreamlike sea of Thailand to settle down back in Korea here in the quiet forest. To answer the questions, I need to tell you a rather long story. For over 30 years, my whole life was in Seoul. I was a feature editor for a fashion magazine working in what they call the flower of capitalism. While I sometimes wrote about luxury bags worth thousands of dollars, my specialty was interviewing artists, musicians, actors, and creators from all over the world. But among their stories and the glamour, I couldn't seem to figure out the value of my own life. My smile felt like a mask I couldn't take off. I was slowly fading away in that forest of gray buildings. So I did what I had to do. I ran away. My sanctuary was Koh Tao, a small remote island in Thailand known as a mecca for divers. It was a place where my community of divers was made up of more long-term European residents than Thai locals, a place where all the noise of the world disappears into the deep blue sea. Now you might have noticed my accent. I am not a native English speaker. For the first 30 years of my life, my English came entirely from watching American TV shows and listening to British rock bands. My real world classroom, it was tiny little island where I had to teach people from all over the world the most important thing, how to breathe underwater. So this language you're hearing now isn't from a textbook. It's built from culture, salt water, and connecting with the people from dozens of countries. That's why my accent, you might hear a bit the UK, the US, Australia, Europe, really a little piece of the world. There, I became a scuba instructor. And for the next 10 years, I learned for the first time to live simply as me, myself, and I, without a fancy title or business card. In that place people called paradise, I live like an island myself. My friends back in Korea, some of whom were getting married and having children, would always tell me, I'm so envious of your life. But whenever they did, I would tell them I admired their quiet courage and strength in the face of the world's expectations. But even in a paradise, a dark shadow exists. The subtle racism I had to endure as an Asian female instructor, the constant pressure to prove myself, something I couldn't escape. Maybe because of the high pressure society I grew up in, and the profound grief of losing my closest friend on that island. It all started to pile up. And then came to the panic attack and the anxiety and the depression that grew from all those wounds. In the most perfect place, I was completely broken. It was then that I realized a physical escape doesn't solve my inner problems. The real escape is not about crossing borders, but about redrawing the map of my own mind. Having fled Seoul in my 30s, I returned to Korea in my 40s, not to the city, but to this forest. The unwelcome questions I faced as a single woman in my 30s haven't changed much in my 40s, but now I know. I know that people are often too caught up in their own words to be truly mindful of others. Or perhaps the word is the same, but I've just become a little stronger. I once gave some advice to a younger colleague at work who was struggling with office relationships. I told her we are all separate islands, but a person who diligently cultivates their own island doesn't seek others out of need. They learn to respect other islands, to appreciate their unique landscapes. And that's when a true bridge can be built, not a bridge of dependence, but of connection. I've always been someone who learned from experience. My time breaking down in the system of Seoul and my time throwing myself into the blue sea of Thailand and the underwater caves of Mexico, it was all my experience and all my experiment. Life is an endless series of questions and reflections. In that sense, this forest is not my final destination, but a new laboratory for cultivating my own island. I didn't come here to escape life. I came here to live it with a purpose, to focus only on what's truly essential in my life. I've stopped wandering in search of a place called paradise. My real work now is to cultivate it right here where I stand. Here I live as a wounded observer. My authority comes not from success, but from failure. My past scars are not strains, but badges that prove failure is not the end, but a part of the process. This journey is for all who have felt lost on their path, pressured by a society that demands only one right answer. Through my stories, I want to show that there is a courage in taking the detour, that it's okay to live a life off the map. This is also for those who suffer in silence behind the mask of, I am fine. I hope it offers a sense of a quiet togetherness, a reminder that your pain, your anxiety, you are not in it alone. You may have been wounded by our time, frustrated for similar reasons, and might be going through the same struggles. Through this journey, instead of being trapped on our respective islands, perhaps we can become gentle lighthouses for one another, shining a light across the water. I hope this message I write for myself find their way to you. Have you ever felt like an island? If any part of my story resonated with you, subscribe and join my community of islanders. I'd love to hear your story in the comments down below. Whether it's about your own island or anything you are curious about when it comes to life in Korea, welcome to Hana's Island. You are safe here now. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.